Hello everyone and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet where we're all fetuses now. I'm Will and joining me this week, Brandon.
Some might say I'm a funky fetus.
And Muzamel.
I don't know how I feel about that statement.
I feel good. I feel great.
It's so that I can rhyme with Norman Reedus.
Oh!
Norman Reedus is
fetus.
the funky fetus.
Oh, my good friend. That is it, though. You may have noticed that intro is way shorter than normal. We only got 3-man crew this week.
Everybody else got scared of all the fetuses everywhere.
They did.
Yeah, it's just... Well, the thing is, they're still watching the Death Stranding trailer. It's really long.
It's true.
It's so long, in fact, I'm still watching it right now.
Right now. Brandon will get live reactions. So yeah, let's start with that, I guess. We're already alluding to it. We got a lot of news this week. But let's lead off with... I'm very excited for this. Death Stranding, the Hideo Kojima game.
Kojima game.
You're right. There are many at this point.
Get it right.
That's what's on the title screen of every
single one.
Is it on the title screen of Space Nuts? Find out when we play for the game club.
Oh. But we had not heard a lot from this game. We heard about it at the game. Did we hear the Game Awards? Either way, it had been a while. New
trailer.
First
time we heard about this game was in December 2015.
Yes.
Yeah.
but it hasn't left us a lot. We've got a lot of trailers at this point.
We got a lot of it since. Yes.
A lot of trailers, and we still know nothing about the game.
we last year we had the first glimpses of gameplay at E3, but I think this one does do a good job. He was finally out of his Hollywood friends to announce, so we got to just see more of the actual game. It was a 9-minute thing, as Muzamel alluded to. And perhaps the biggest thing, what surprised me hugely, we get a release date at the end of it, November 8th, 2019.
Whoa.
That's this year.
So it's so funny because Sony has we can say 3 big games coming out, right? From PS4. The rest of them, they're okay. But it's this game, it's Last of Us Part 2, and Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
If anyone told you, I think Death Stranding is going to be the first one to come of that, they're lying. No one thought that. Not a single soul on Earth was like, yeah, Death Stranding, that's going to be the first of those games. And it's going to come out in 2019? 2019?
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well,
2019, what a year.
Yeah. We had... whatchamacallit, we had that interview with The Verge where they did the PS5 details, and Mark Cerny, he's like, so is this is Death Stranding a cross-gen game? And Mark Cerny just gave him a little wry smile, and we all took it as Mark Cerny saying yes, but no, Mark knew very differently. We were the fools.
Yeah.
It will probably still be on next gen, if I had to guess.
Sure.
They've all but confirmed the PS. It will be backwards compatible.
Yeah, pretty much at least a year before.
But the fact that it's coming this year, though, I did not. I mean, when the game was first announced, forget earlier this year. Yeah. When the game was first announced, I was like, they announced it as a PS4 game, and I laughed. I was like, there's no way Hideo Kojima is gonna release a game by the end of this console generation. That is a next gen game, full stop. But here we are. It's coming out this year. That's
yeah. And so I think it'll be interesting because one I gotta say his name, Jay Schrei, right before said that he had heard that Last of Us would actually be not Last of Us, excuse me, Death Stranding would be hitting this year, and then Last of Us got pushed to early 2020, basically, right? Probably March would be the
around
guess.
February. He said.
Around February, yeah. And so that's interesting that these games are so close together, all things considered, because November to February is not very far. But 2, Death Stranding and Final Fantasy VII Remake were, I think, the 2 games that people thought most, this is not going to be on PS4.
Nope.
And we might be getting both of them, maybe not in the 2019, the calendar year, but at least by fiscal year 2020.
I mean, it's pretty clear that FF7R is a PS4 game, at least part 1.
Yeah.
And Death Stranding, very clearly, is a PS4 game, right? So it's these are 2 games that no one would. I mean, almost no one thought they were going to make it this generation, to be honest. Yeah. And it's just it's crazy that it's coming so soon.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe FF7 is this year too.
Maybe we got confirmation from the European website, for some reason, is the one that had more details, but there's some, and also in the trailer itself, some little pieces of gameplay, because I don't want to touch much on the story, because at this point, who knows where it's going. But we see one thing, which is that, like, the traversal is I guess I would use the word deliberate, right? You see him pull out a ladder, and he sets the ladder down, the ladder falls forward, and it interacts, and it latches onto a cliff, and he climbs the ladder to climb the cliff. He gets a little rappelling rope and a spike. He puts the spike in the ground, and he rappels down the side of the cliff, right? And I think, one, that's interesting, because we see a lot of open world games for a long time. The thought was get everywhere as fast as you possibly can. Just like, Assassin's Creed, hold R, press A, and you'll just clamber everything. And I think that it's interesting to see open world games now sort of say like, hey, maybe that shouldn't be it. Maybe actually there is something to slowing the pace a little bit, to making you climbing a wall mean having a little bit more investment. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, that's a very brief impression. But also, we see him on a motorbike, which is also cool because, I mean, hey, I love a motorcycle.
Yeah, Norman Reedus on a motorcycle. Who would have ever thought?
That's a good point. I had not thought about that, but you're right. But yeah, so I mean, the trailer itself, we got a little bit of details from, like I said, from that website. One, the multiplayer got touched on briefly, which is that it is asynchronous, so you're never going to see another player in your game, but you will share safe houses. You can see what they've been doing, and you can send supplies to each other. So that's a little piece of it, but I almost don't want to give too much away because I think part of the fun of Death Stranding is that it's this new weird thing that we don't know a lot about.
Weird is a good word.
Yeah. But I think that there's value to that. There's so many AAA games that the minute you see it, you know what it is,
I think that this is crazy that Sony's even funding this game. And, like, kudos to them, They were like, hey, Kojima, here's a blank check. Do whatever the hell you want,
Yeah.
And kudos to Kojima, by the way, because I think a lot of people blamed a lot of the MGS5 fiasco on Kojima. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, sure, Konami was a terrible publisher, blah, blah, blah. But can you blame them? Because he took so long to make that game and whatever, right? But, like, I mean, Kojima Productions itself is pretty not that big. It's like 100 people. Obviously, they subcontracted a lot of people for this game. But Koji Pro being so small, but then also just being able to get this game out in 3 years. I mean, that's impressive. This is an impressive feat. No matter what, it's an impressive feat. And then it's just very cool to see a game that truly is like nothing else on the market.
Sure.
I think it has a very unique space, and I think that it's cool. I like having more diversity in games, And Death Stranding looks dope. It is already shot up to my most excited game of the year, to be honest. Like, I am really fucking looking forward to this.
I don't feel that strongly about it, but I do think it's really cool, and I've always been a big fan of playing weird shit. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we play weird shit for the game club sometimes.
Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes bad, but
but
that's what you gotta try.
Could be the case here, but
yeah, exactly. And I'm a big fan of games that take different approaches that the normal aren't just part of. Here's another shooter, just weird stuff. And this game looks really up my alley. I'm interested in playing it. I don't know about Animal Crossing.
I mean, that's a big word. I know, but but
yeah,
and and Kojima always puts out good games. I feel like you may have your misgivings about the most recent entries, but like I think it's safe to say he has a good track record.
I mean, his games they're all good. They're just really heavy on the confusing sometimes.
Yeah, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But you were saying games that that are not like others, and we got several of those this week at the Pokemon business strategy meeting.
No kidding. Oh, jeez.
I found myself saying, "What?"
Excuse me?
10 times during this.
What a wild conference. So I guess we should give a little bit of backstory to this, right? Because we hear Pokemon Direct for Sword and Shield, June 5th. Mark your calendars. That's coming up.
Next week.
Baby. Next week we're going to be talking about that.
But it was interesting because also we thought, I was like, that's really early to announce a Direct, a full week ahead of schedule. And then it's like, oh, they are conditioning because they're having this Pokemon business strategy meeting this week. And basically,
thank God they said that, because otherwise people would have been pissed, being like, oh, what? No Sword and Shield? But like they got out of the way, being like, hey, look, like you can expect Sword and Shield news next week, but we got some other stuff to talk about first. And I think that was
thank God they did that. Yeah, because if they just had that without mentioning the Sword and Shield, people would have been like, this is bullshit. They're losing their mind. What the hell? They're not going to talk it. Yeah.
So we got a couple games announced.
Yeah.
We got first and foremost, I guess we'll go in the order they were announced these things. A sequel to Detective Pikachu is coming to the Switch.
Wow.
Yeah.
They were
The
kind
game.
of vague about it, I feel like, at first. Like, they didn't really say, like, it was a sequel. They're just like,
Yeah.
They had
Detective
mentioned
Pikachu's coming to the Switch.
Yeah, and then they had mentioned that it would resolve the cliffhanger, but it was like, does that just mean like an extra scene,
case?
Or
Yeah.
But like, no. It's they in the press release it's straight up clarified this is a sequel to Detective Pikachu, which I hope they put the first game on Switch then also, because I don't know how many people played that 3DS game.
I did.
I mean, yeah, Brandon did, but but like
And
it came out in 2018, in the West at least.
Yeah.
Which is like, for a lot of us, by that time, we were
looking past the 3DS a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Had to play it for the amiibo.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a big amiibo. But yeah.
Not that good of a game. I will, spoiler alert on that game. Not really that good.
I'm still curious to try it, though. Like,
but
I don't want to play the sequel without playing the first game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe
be prepared that it's okay.
Well, is it the same story as the movie?
I think it largely is. Well, isn't it besides the conclusion?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they said that the conclusion of the game will differ than the conclusion of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little bit different. It's got crazy A-palms, but it's very different from the movie and how they handle it, and it's
The tone, I think, is probably the biggest difference, right?
tone was definitely darker in the movie.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah,
just,
I mean, I'm willing to
is
give this a
just,
shot. I'm willing to give it. I know Brandon says it's meh, but like, it always looked interesting, at least, And it's just
literally all it is just talk to characters in QuickTime events. That's it.
Sure. Yeah. I can see that, but like, we'll see if the sequel improves any on that formula.
Hopefully, because the game's not bad.
Yeah. But then after that, we got, this was Masuda came on stage, and you say, Masuda, he's the guy that's the main line, so we're going to, anything that's going to reflect mainline, it's going to be here. And we did get something. We got the announcement of Pokemon Home for your smartphone device.
And the Nintendo Switch.
Yes, and for the Switch, you're right. But this is sort of exactly what it needs to be. This is perfect, because if you were a Pokemon fan, you probably are aware of Pokemon Bank on the 3DS. It was a service you paid $5 a year to save your Pokemon in cloud saves. It was a rudimentary app, is me being nice, right? It took a lot of loading. It wasn't exactly elegant, but this is sort of a one-stop shop for everything. So if you have your 3DS Pokemon games, you can add them to Pokemon Home from Pokemon Bank. You can use Pokemon Go, which is pretty wild. You can send them from Pokemon Go. You can send them from Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee, and from Pokemon Sword and Shield. And the thing launches in early 2020, they said. But
Makes sense.
The thing is, they said that you can trade now with this app on either your Switch or your smartphone, both locally and globally.
That's cool.
Which is very cool. I look forward to receiving a Diggersby from Brandon as the first Pokemon as he trades with me on Pokemon Home.
It will not be my perfect IV Diggersby with
well, shouldn't you give him a Diggersby as a gift because he's
a Brandon-owned Diggersby is special. Okay, There's love poured into that Diggersby.
I understand.
There is. Well, you know what? I could make you a perfect IV one. You'll have to EV train it yourself.
That's fair. But yeah, so I mean, this is sort of exactly what I think a Pokemon trading app should exist and be in 2020.
100%. I mean, like, I think it's so smart to put this kind of thing on a smartphone app, because it's like you're not always gonna have your Switch with you, right? But sometimes I want to mess around with my box, right? Sometimes I want to trade Pokemon, and just having that on me at all times is very nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
and just not having to load up the game, right? Like, I think that in of itself is a big deal.
Yeah.
To just have oh man, it's just so good just to have all your Pokemon from all your games just there in one spot.
Centralized hub.
Yeah, to be able to organize them on the go and get prepared, do whatever. It's going to be great. And I feel like I'm ready to lose my soul and my whole life to Pokemon again.
Yeah, I'm ready.
The other thing about this app... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So one more thing about this app, though. It is worth noting that you can transfer them all into Pokemon Home, but you can only take them back into Pokemon Sword and Shield. So you can't put them back into Go, can't put them back into Bank, can't put them back into...
which makes sense, especially for Go. I mean... You can't.
Yeah, because that game is monetized. Yeah, so that'd be weird. So you can throw them all into Sword and Shield, and presumably any Pokemon mainline game on the Switch after that, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But Yeah.
But Brandon, I mean, you said giving up, your soul, giving up your waking hours to Pokemon. Now you can also give away your sleeping hours, because I screamed. Pokemon Sleep was announced. Quality of life is not dead, everyone.
I mean, this is literally it. This is literally.
They had the guy from Nintendo come up.
Yeah.
What the hell?
So for context, a couple years back, early 2014, Nintendo had a whole investor briefing talking about the future of Nintendo, and one of the things that they were going to go into was quality of life, QOL, right?
Yeah, and non-wearable technology.
And specifically, they would go like their brand of things that would improve your quality of life would be non-wearable. Yeah, and the first thing they announced was a sleep monitor. Right?
Yeah.
But then it just kind of went nowhere. We hadn't heard about anything for years. But now, at this conference, William, go ahead and tell us. But
they had this trailer, and I want to call it this trailer because, one, they love this trailer from the Pokemon Company now, which is like real life people like smiling at each other and like living their lives as like, whoa, like happens in the background.
I had that same like revelation during that. Was like, damn, they really like to do this shit, huh?
They've done it for Let's Go. They did it for Sun and Moon. They did it for freaking Pokken. They did it for, like, it's for everything now. But
Pokemon Go trailers have the same shit.
And they show people open up Pokemon Go, and you see this kilometer counter rack up, and it's getting to insane numbers. It's just going skyrocketing. And then it goes back to 0, and you see a person lying in bed, and Pikachu crawls up, and he falls asleep too, and you see a little Pokeball next to the person sleeping. And then it starts counting the sleep. And they announce Pokemon Sleep is coming. This is a thing. Pokemon will find a way to make sleeping entertainment. Is their tagline on this?
Yeah.
And
my question was just how. That's all I kept saying. How?
How does any of this work?
How is this possible?
Honestly though, is there any IP better suited to like gamifying like healthy habits than Pokemon?
Yeah. I mean,
it seems so gimmicky to me.
Yeah, but so they encourage you to be like, hey, get your shit together, sleep on time, and guess what? You'll
be a better Pokemon trainer.
Yeah, you level up your Pokemon.
To me, I think it's hilarious for a couple of reasons. One, it is incredibly Pokemon, because the Pokemon Company has these aspirations of, we have this huge franchise and we want to use it to better the world. And you believe them when they say that. Like, part of the reason they partner with Niantic for Pokemon Go is because they genuinely thought the walking factor and having people interact with the environment around them made the world a better place. And that's part of it. And it turned out to be huge and work.
It did, though, which is weird, dude. Just insane.
Yeah.
I mean, Pokemon Go is fascinating because, like, it's not only that aspect, but also it gets you. I mean, from the core of the Pokemon series, back in Red and Blue, right? The idea was, the whole reason there's 2 versions, right?
It's trading.
Is to trade, to have social interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Go does that. Sleep obviously is not about social interaction, but like,
no. But it's about improving
trying to better your life.
Yeah. But yeah, it's from the start. I feel like Pokemon has had this kind of goal of like going beyond just being a game on a screen.
Yeah. You had the Pocket Pikachu, which was also a pedometer. And then they also had the Pokewalker.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny too because I don't care about my own well-being. I can look like trash. But if I wake up and my Pikachu's sad, I'm going to bed early next night, brother. I'm making up for it. I'm sorry, Pikachu. Yeah, so that was insane. And they announced the accessory with it.
Yes.
Which is also equally as insane. You remember Pokemon Go had an accessory that came with it, Pokemon Go Plus, which you could use to activate Pokestops and do various other things.
Yes.
Now they have a new product, and you say, how do they improve them on Pokemon Go Plus? Well, the answer is clear. Pokemon Go Plus Plus.
Thank God.
Double up.
That name is baffling.
It's insane. It's the dumbest name possible.
It's such a stupid name, and I love it. I'm so happy that...
And the whole thing seems more inconvenient to me than the original one, in the fact that you don't have... It doesn't have a clip, at least from what we can see, and it's bigger. It doesn't seem as easy. It seems like
it's shaped like a Pokeball. It's like a little disc thing.
It's definitely something you're gonna have to throw in your bag.
I'll put it in my pocket.
It's more inconvenient. You can't just clip it on your shirt or have the little wrist thing, or
It's time to bring back cargo shorts, baby. Use those pockets.
I've been bringing them back for years now.
Yeah, brother.
To be fair, so the main function of this though is not to be a Pokemon Go Plus, though, right? It is for Pokemon Sleep. It is.
Yes, that is the thing that is tracking your sleep. Actually,
yeah. You put it on your pillow. and it'll track your sleep.
Yeah, and tossing and turning, how good sleep you're getting, stuff like that. It'll probably tell you. And
that's just fascinating. I mean,
Insane.
It's funny because like this is something that like also weirdly Nintendo was interested in, right? And I guess this just happened to be like a perfect, what combination of ideas, right? Where Pokemon loves to do this kind of stuff. Nintendo weirdly decided to go into this market, and then it just turned into this thing where it's like, oh, let's use Pokemon to gamify sleep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
Oh man, my tossy turny ass would fling that shit halfway across.
It's true. But I do think it's also interesting that, I mean, once again, people are mad at this, but I don't know. It's fine. It's innocuous. It doesn't hurt anybody.
It's something that it's like
mad about it. It's
very
people just get mad at things if they don't feel like it's for them.
Oh my goodness! They think it's taken away from something.
Yeah, but we know the people it's being made by the people who made Magikarp Jump.
Yeah, so
it's not like this is not the mainline team
here.
Yeah,
I mean, this is very much its own side thing. Like it's not taking away from anything. It's just neat. And combining it with Pokemon Home is interesting because then like. Straight up, like, hey, your Pokemon in Sword and Shield will level up while playing Pokemon Home,
Pokemon Let's Go, Home, and Sleep. The three
I can't wait for Pokemon Woke. That's
just your eyes shoot open.
Stay woke, everybody.
To be honest, I'm waiting for Pokemon to help me improve my diet.
I am extremely... That's going to happen.
Dude, please. I mean, they are. They already kind of are. Well, I guess losing weight with the walking, just not dieting.
Yeah, but like, if anything's going to get me to, eat healthy and do any sort of healthy habit, it's Pokemon,
Yeah.
Pokemon Cookbook. Make it.
And then the last thing that they had for this business conference thing was the DNA game that we knew existed. We got confirmed what it was. Pokemon Masters.
Yep.
And this is a mobile game. And this is interesting for a couple of reasons, but one primarily is that it is a shift in the presentation of a Pokemon game. Because Pokemon has always been focused on the Pokemon. Mm-hmm. And as the name might imply, Pokemon Masters is about the characters for the first time. So you're not getting an Onix, you're getting Brock. And Brock has his Onix. You're getting Misty, and Misty has her Starmie. And your team is determined by the trainers that you have. Which, I mean, does this sound closer to a Fire Emblem Heroes than a Pokemon Go? Yes.
Absolutely.
Will Cynthia in a bikini show up? Maybe.
I mean, I think they will still keep the
Pokemon Company will probably not do that.
Yeah. But so this game is interesting, though, because it is a gacha game. Right.
Yes.
It is a like Fire Emblem Heroes, like a lot
pulling
of
for
Japanese
Sabrina
mobile games.
Where is she?
It's interesting though because like it kind of reminds me of a couple years ago, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links came out.
Yes.
Which that game is super high production values, and it's all about like nostalgia, right? It's all about hey, like here's your favorite things. Here's a simplified version of the game that you love, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get people back in, and I think Pokemon Masters kind of does something similar, right? Because it's a 3v3 system, right?
Yeah.
And the Pokemon battles are reminiscent of traditional Pokemon games, right?
You see Pokemon use a move.
Yes. Yeah. It's not 1-to-1, of course, but it's a simplified version of the traditional battle system that we know. Yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be the type chart, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then package it in a way where it's like super high production values, make it all about the characters. The art for this game is super good.
Like you see Brock almost do a Z move, right? Like he's the one doing it. He shows off his sick abs, and he and Onix throw a huge boulder, and so
looking real jack, baby.
Real jack.
I think this is a big shift for Pokemon's mobile strategy because Pokemon on mobile so far has been Pokemon Go, which has been huge, right?
Awesome. And then a bunch of weirdos.
But then a bunch of and none of them have really taken off. Like there was some neat ones like Magikarp Jump, but nothing took the world by storm.
A bunch of weird games.
Certainly, none of them are making much money.
No.
But if anyone is going to, it's going to be this one. They're putting work into this one. So
yeah. So we'll see. That'll be interesting. But yeah, so that was the Pokemon conference. That was a wild little thing. Like I said, we're going to have the Sword and Shield Direct next week to talk about. We're going to have a lot to talk about.
Can't wait.
Before we get to even the other
last
stuff.
pre-E3 episode next week. So.
It will. And the thing is, this year, we talk about every year about, people are trying to get ahead of E3. This year, it's insane. We have Pokemon is getting a thing. The future of Destiny is getting showed off next week, which is surprising.
Really?
Yeah, they announced that today. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is getting a stream that they're going to do. It's not going to be at their press conference this year. They confirmed that.
Oh.
So yeah, and there's more. There's a lot.
Do we take it that they're getting all this out of the way because they have so much more to talk about?
I don't know.
Believe that. Well, for Ubisoft, yes, because Ubisoft, we flat out know they have 3 unannounced AAA games.
We know what one of them is
this fiscal year.
You can find it. Yeah.
We know Pokemon does this always, right? It's no surprise that Pokemon
yeah. But the thing is, Pokemon will definitely be... The thing is, this is not Nintendo getting stuff out of the way, though, because Pokemon Sword and Shield, guarantee you, will still be in the Direct. In the E3 Direct.
There will be a 2-minute trailer for Sword and Shield, almost.
100%.
Yeah.
It always is. There always is a Pokemon trailer in that Direct. Yeah. Besides Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but that was
but they still always do their own thing at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. But, I'm just saying, this is not, don't be surprised when you see Sword and Shield in the E3 Direct, because it's going to be there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So like I said, that's all stuff to look forward to next week. So gosh, it's going to be really hard. But I do want to talk about 2 other things before we get to our talking about the Xbox's conference this year. One of which is we mentioned last week about the Call of Duty development thing, and we heard that this year's game would be announced soon. Turns out it was this week, and it is straight up Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It is the 4th Modern Warfare game, but it is not Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
But I heard it was a reboot, not the 4th game.
It is a reboot.
It is a reboot.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a reboot / reimagining of the first game's campaign on the single player side of things. Multiplayer, it's interesting. They're almost back to how they used to do things, which is they always used to do single player first and then multiplayer down the line when they showed off Call of Duty. But I think the thing that's interesting with this one is there's plenty actually that's interesting. This is the first Call of Duty to have crossplay, not between consoles, but between PC and
Oh wait, it's not going to be between PS4 and Xbox One?
From the stuff that I read, they only said between PC is the way that they verbed it right now.
Ew,
PC and Xbox or PC and PS4?
Both. It must be both. Just like how Fortnite used to be before finally they broke down that barrier.
Wait, you used to be able to do PC and PS4 on Fortnite?
Yeah.
You can do crossplay with
PC
and mobile on PS4.
Yeah.
You cannot. Sony does not allow you to do crossplay with other platforms.
With other consoles, yeah.
Except with the exception now of Fortnite and Rocket League. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's interesting is that this is the death of the Call of Duty Season Pass. Which is they were sort of the last one standing. Yeah.
I mean, this makes sense in a post-Fortnite world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It already, Overwatch already kind of started this trend, right? And maybe other games before it, but, I feel like that was one of the most notable. But Fortnite especially, it's it just made no sense in this day and age to make people pay for map packs, you know?
Yeah.
It splits the user base, and you already have extra monetization in the way of microtransactions for cosmetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to do map packs.
Yeah.
There
will be maps post-launch, but they will be free, is what they said.
Yeah, and it doesn't split the user base, which is a big deal. Because I think Call of Duty often fell into the trap of, if I buy Call of Duty and I don't buy the map packs, well, once that first map pack comes out, I might as well not play anymore because the player base has moved on.
Yeah.
You know? So it's
and this is very early impressions, but I want to touch on this because I think it's very interesting, which is that they had the press come out, do an event, play several levels from the campaign. Some of them are, like I said, reimagining of levels from the first Modern Warfare's campaign. Some of them are wholly new. But they said that this game has a very dark tone. A shockingly dark tone for what it is. Because Call of Duty with time has become more and more removed from reality, right? That was the whole thing. Black Ops went into the far future. You're running on walls with mech suits. You're literally in space. And this thing is it's not just we're in modern times again. It's apparently when you shoot a person, they slowly die. It's not I'm dead, I'm on the ground. It's they'll wheeze and then slowly you'll see the life leave them. Right? there are levels where you're doing truly abhorrent things, where you're fighting terrorists that are disguised as civilians, and you can't tell who's who, and you're more likely to shoot civilians than not. Like, it is... I mean, it's ostensibly a game that is apparently seeming about the horrors of war. Like it apparently it's not like, isn't this cool? It's like, this is horrific and terrible. But that is so weird for a Call of Duty game to do. Because it is the widest market game that exists, you know? Like, you can look at the NPD charts that outside of Pokemon 1 year and the 2 Rockstar releases in the last 10 years, every year Call of Duty's been the biggest game. Mm-hmm. And for it to sort of take this tone of like, hey, like, look at how much war is like an awful nightmare and like will ruin lives is caught me off guard, to be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. But Waypoint had an interesting article about this, about like Call of Duty, this game in particular, just not being able to decide if like, is war bad or is it badass? You know?
Yeah. Well, and I almost feel bad because it's sort of this thing that's like, you have to include multiplayer in this game, right? Yes, but like the act of multiplayer is like a fun, goofy mode. I mean, it's not goofy, but it's, you know, it's like you don't have time for like to sit on what does it mean when I shoot this other player. Like you're gonna keep running, and so it will be weird to see those two things coexist. But I mean, this could be awful. It could be tone deaf. It could be really interesting. Either way, I think it's interesting that Call of Duty's trying it. Period. Because this is a series that is...
I mean, I think it's cool to see them, like, go in this direction. It is, you know? It's, like, it's a little more thought-provoking, you know? It's, like... and it'll make for a very interesting game come this October, you know?
The discourse around it might be miserable.
There's one more interesting thing about the game, though. Not about its tone, but they, for the first time, are using a brand new engine.
They've had one for forever. Yeah.
For the first time since when? I mean,
I think since literally. As far as I forget what game it was, but the code base for this game was like using stuff from like I think like
last gen.
No, but it was like Quake or some shit, like some like old ass game. Like
holy fuck.
Yeah, like the engine they were using in particular was just like it was in use for so long, and they finally revamped it completely. Which, you know, right before next gen, I think is a good time to do that, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
But that's interesting. That in itself is interesting, you know? Because it's like, wow, Call of Duty, for the longest time, has used the same fucking engine, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like, this year's a big year for Call of Duty, I would say.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Big
changes for this series.
Yeah, which, I mean, we talked about last week about how they're probably going to need to do some changes, so maybe this is, maybe they're aware of that too. Either way, then the last game, I'm free, everyone, I'm free. They finally said when they're going to show off this dang Avengers game.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah, so, and we got some descriptions on it, by the way, which is going to be, quote-unquote, a cinematic action-adventure game with single-player and four-player co-op in an ever-expanding world, which is basically meaningless. But... Yeah. But we are getting it at E3 this year, and we're gonna get more details from the... It will
be at Square Enix's E3 press conference. This is a confirmed thing, which means now Square Enix's press conference is actually one of the biggest to look.
It's a big one
this year because FF7 Remake and Marvel's Avengers game, like these are two games that these are big games.
Yeah,
you know.
And so it'll be interesting. There's some weird leaks that the veracity is unsure. So. I mean, you'll know how they are in literally a week, roughly, so don't worry too much, but about maybe Kamala Khan being the main character, who is Miss Marvel, not Captain Marvel, I'm confused. But that's a crazy decision if that's the case, because she's well-known, but she's certainly not, like, Iron Man, so that would be really interesting.
Yeah. She's not even in, like, the MCU, so a lot of people who are only familiar with that might be like, huh?
Who is this? Yeah. But Kevin Feige said they want to push Miss Marvel. She's getting a show.
She's gonna be in the MCU for sure. But specifically like the rumor goes like she's gonna be a central early character.
Yeah. And you're sort of reforming the Avengers with her as like your first. So we'll see how it goes. Either way,
multiple playable characters.
Yeah,
I'm super fucking excited about this.
I hope that this stuff is true though, because there is. When you hear Avengers game, you want to play as the goddamn Avengers, right?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, for the last like year or so, the speculation on this game has been this is going to be
you play as a shield
shooter.
Agent. Yeah.
You know, this is going to be like Destiny. This is going to be like The Division. And you're going to play as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's like, I don't want to play as
I don't want to play as some loser
S.H.I.E.L.D.
with a gun.
I want to play as superheroes.
Yeah.
You know? So.
God of War 2018's combat director is on this game, by the way. So that's an interesting one. But either way, like I said, we'll see that when the time comes. And as you said that Square Enix might be one of the biggest press conferences, but perhaps the biggest in a lot of ways.
Easily.
Yeah, is Microsoft this year. Because it is literally the longest of all of them. But let's have a conversation about it, because I think that out of everyone, there might be games that I'll see other places that I'll be maybe more hyped for than what I'll see at Microsoft conference, but I think that there's no conference that a company can gain more from than this one,
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I want to sort of talk about this in 3 parts, because there's a lot that could happen in this conference. First, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is next gen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have heard a lot about basically Microsoft is intending to at least start the conversation. They announced last year, essentially, hey, we're working on another generation of consoles.
Yes.
But then that will continue into this year with more specifics. Maybe not, because holiday 2020 is still sort of the thought on when the next gen will launch, but maybe a code name, maybe a general concept, maybe a game that you say is running on Azure, because even with Xbox One X, they showed games that were running on the Scorpio, right, before it was the One X.
Yeah.
So do you think, where do you think they will cut off the details basically this year? Do you think they will get a name? Do you think they'll give us a code name? Do you think
we will have a code name for sure? We will have games announced for said code name. Like, they will explicitly say Halo Infinite is coming to Scarlet.
Okay.
They won't give specs, maybe general specs,
right.
but like nothing specific,
Yeah.
They definitely won't give a price yet.
No, of course not. No.
The big question is, there's, I think you could say pretty much confirmed that they're gonna launch with 2 SKUs.
Yes.
Right. Do they talk about that this year, or is that
I don't
think
so. I would think they would save that until next year, because they probably wouldn't have all the details for what each one will entail, really.
Right, sure, yeah. But it'll be interesting. Will they utter the words, "We will have the most powerful console"? Next gen?
Probably. They've never shied away from that.
Because you can't. Because you can't be for certain. Because we don't publicly know the PS5 specs.
That's
right?
true.
So can they commit? Can they publicly commit this year already? We will have the most powerful console.
Maybe. If they really feel that way, I'm sure they would.
Well, I think this is interesting, because we have had Windows Central is a very reputable source for Microsoft stuff. And they have said, they had an article about sort of what to expect for Microsoft's E3, and there's a lot of interesting things in there, but they touch specifically on the new Xbox consoles. And so that means that, one thing they mentioned is that, hey, they're probably building off of this new Windows Core OS, which is a new thing that they've been working on. So the UI of the console will be basically from scratch, which is good, because the Xbox One's UI system is very slow if you're not on a One X. But 2, that they had heard that there would basically be no exclusive Scarlet games from first-party Microsoft for several years. That essentially they would sort of the iPhone thing of you just phase out the thing that was a couple of cycles ago. Like, suddenly the One X will become the budget product. And then you'll have the 2 SKUs of next Xbox, but it will run on all of these, right? Halo Infinite will be on all of these, but it'll be running in true 4K 60 FPS on Anaconda, or whatever they end up calling the more high end of the 3.
So the big thing with that, I feel like Microsoft has been publicly signaling that kind of move for a while now.
Yeah.
This idea that you don't have to own a specific box to play a specific game, right? You're kind of free from that mindset, and they've uttered the words not just backwards compatible but forwards compatible, right? That that is a thing that they have publicly said.
Yeah.
And so to hear the news that at least for a couple months, right? There'll be games that are going to come to Xbox One in addition to Scarlet, also they will be on Xbox One.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
You know? I think that's a great thing, to be honest with you. It makes people not feel the pressure that they have to buy this if they're not, in the financial, state to do so.
Yeah.
And they won't feel like they're, really just missing out and be disappointed and feel like they're, oh, well, I really want to play this game. They still can. So just make, not the best way possible. I think that's, honestly, I think people will really be accepting and welcoming of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the issue of and I just want to knock this down real quick because people say this and it's just nonsense. This idea that, cross-gen games means that our next-gen games are going to be held back, right?
Oh, yeah. No, come on.
This notion that...
I don't like that.
That's not a thing, though. That is not a thing.
No.
when you hear a PC version is announced, do you think it's holding it back because it can also run on a lower end system?
Exactly, because you look at it's interesting. Recently, the most recent Steam hardware survey results show that a vast majority of PC gamers nowadays have budget hardware, which I think kind of directly goes against the notion of what we think of PC gaming.
Yeah,
but the point is games are not held back by low specs. The game, especially in the modern age in 2019, games are developed to be scalable. That is how they are developed.
Yeah.
So yeah, this idea that our game's gonna be held back that's just not a thing. So.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But what is an next-gen console if not a way to play games, right? As we've discussed, and this is hot off the presses, dog. A thing from the Philly Spencer himself. Our good bud, that there will be 14 Xbox Game Studio games to be shown at this press event.
Whew, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot, though. Keep in mind that does include stuff like Minecraft.
It does.
Minecraft is certainly one of those. I guarantee you.
I mean, that's 14 Microsoft Studio games. That's more than they put on the Xbox One in its whole 5 years.
I mean,
basically.
But it's still a lot because I counted up all the things that they could show off, and it even amounts to 10 at most. 11ish.
But you're being very generous. If we're saying Gears Funko Pop this year, then
and that's counting stuff like Gears Pop. So there will be at least 3 or 4 brand new announcements. I don't know at what scale, but it should be a good show for first party. I think they're going to want to definitely follow up on at least a handful of the studios that they acquired, just being hey, this wasn't for nothing. We have a game to show you from them. And we know for a fact Ninja Theory is going to be one of those studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, because it's funny because when I was earlier today, thinking sort of out the outline for this podcast, I was we'll do this. And there's not a lot that they have announced right now, right? You have, Gears, and then Gears Tactics, and then Gears Funko. You have Battletoads. You have a few other things, Halo. But I think they're probably holding back for next gen, and then this happens, and maybe I'm stupid. So that'll be interesting. Especially because, we said,
it's still held back in next gen for the sense that I could see a lot of games being don't launch it yet.
Yeah.
Launch it until once next gen comes around. That's a smart thing to do.
But I think it's interesting because normally you would expect them to sort of do all the games next year before it launches, right? Just announce all these things. But no, I think they're probably they're doubling down on the C3. That's sort of the language they've been using, and maybe we'll see if it pays off. But obviously, Microsoft is not just a first party company.
No.
They have a lot of third party relations, and basically, if anyone is a major third party and they don't have a conference themselves, there's only one place to show them this year, which is Microsoft.
Yeah. Where else are you going to put them? If you want to be on a stage show this year, you got to be on Microsoft,
Yeah.
So,
So I'll just name off some third-party video game companies, and you tell me whether or not you think that we might get something from them at Microsoft C3 this year. How about that? So first one, Bandai Namco. Now, for history, Bandai Namco and Microsoft actually have a pretty good relationship. The last 2 years, they've gotten 2 big game announcements on their stage, which is Dragon Ball FighterZ and Jump Force, 2 games that, despite how you may feel about Jump Force, ended up being really big games for them. And I think really good for Xbox. I think it helps fight back against the idea that they are not a Japanese-focused company to have Bandai Namco there. So there's a relationship there. I was looking at series that they have that's been taking a break, And really the only one I think that's like sort of up in time that still has active development is Tales.
Yeah.
Well, so we did just get Tales, and this was announced at the Microsoft conference, worth noting, right? But Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition was announced at last year's Microsoft conference.
Yeah. But I don't know if that was a full...
Sure, yeah. But it's interesting because Tales Studio specifically had mentioned, like, hey, like, Vesperia Definitive Edition is basically like a new starting point for us, right? Like, this is where we kind of reset things and kind of move forward from here.
Oh.
Yeah. So
very interesting.
Vesperia was an Xbox exclusive for a while.
It was.
Yes, it was. I mean, for the entirety of its generation in North America. And
yeah.
And Europe. Was it Europe? I don't remember. But yeah. Anyway. But yeah, I could definitely see a Tales game.
Now the other one we talked about last week in that rumor about the FromSoft game, it said it's published by Bandai Namco, and that it would be at Microsoft's conference. I mean, those things line up. Insofar as that,
because not only is there a history with Bandai Namco, but like From Software games have had a history of showing up at Microsoft conference too.
Anytime it's not exclusive, yes.
Yeah. Sekiro was there last year. Dark Souls 3 was there. Before that, I'm pretty sure Dark Souls 2 was at Microsoft show. So like, you know, Bandai Namco From Software games. I mean, not even just Bandai Namco. Like From Software games that are not exclusive to PS4 tend to. Microsoft likes to go and make sure they get that reveal. You know.
Yeah.
Which I think is smart for them. But
so that's a big one. Do you think Warner Brothers is going to do anything? We still don't know what Rocksteady's up to.
I mean, so the question is, Rocksteady's last game was in 2015. Right?
Yes.
Batman Arkham Knight. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
There's been a lot of rumors about it. Most of them pretty much debunked, right?
Yeah.
But and Jason Schreier should have said, hey, like they're not working on Justice League, for example, right? And we know that they're not working on Batman specifically. But there's been a lot of maybe bunk like the Avengers stuff, but there's been a lot of stuff about, oh, this is going to be like a games as a service type game. This is going to be a loot thing, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Which, personally, I don't think is very interesting, but that's on a whole nother topic. But
I hope it's Teen Titans. That's still my eternal hope.
Yeah, I hope it's Teen Titans also. I think it's been long enough. I mean, the big question to me right now is it next gen? Right? Is it coming out next gen, or is it coming out within the next year? Which is possible. Like, I think people right now are in the mindset of, oh, like, anything that's not announced will come out next gen. But that's not necessarily true, right? No. Like, the final year of PS3 360 saw a lot of big software, including stuff like BioShock Infinite, Tomb Raider, you know?
And I think it's also a very different dynamic that both consoles will be backwards compatible.
Yes, yeah, that's another big thing, right? So, like, even releasing in early 2020, you're getting out before that next gen rush, but also you can come that November and be like, hey, that game still works and is enhanced.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, we're in a weird spot now where you know, from last gen to this gen, how many games were remastered and just re-released, right? Just tons,
and you can't do that this time.
Tons. And you can keep it going, right? You can release a game near the end of this life cycle, and when next gen comes out, and say, hey, you know, I know it's been a year and a half, but here's this game if you want to play it now a little bit, you know.
Well, I don't think remasters will be a thing this time.
Maybe not remasters.
Because
you can just keep selling that same game for years.
But you can definitely keep selling the same game and market this update that, hey, you put that disc into your PS5 and it looks gorgeous, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. I think Rocksteady, I think they can show a game. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's out within the next year. Because it's been a while. It's been a while since Arkham Knight. So.
And then here's my two weird. So Capcom. We know that they don't have anything big planned for this fiscal year, according to their own language.
Yeah.
Do you think they were going to get anything weird and small?
Not at the Xbox conference.
Not the Xbox conference. Where else would it be then? Oh, you think it'd be at Nintendo more likely?
Nintendo, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, and anything. The thing is, the kind of games that Capcom is developing for PS4 and Xbox One are big, massive games. You know, games that push the limits of the hardware and are gorgeous. Monster Hunter World, Devil May Cry 5, you know, Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they don't have anything big for this fiscal year, it's not going to be at Microsoft. I mean, I can't think of anything that would be at Microsoft's conference, you know? And unless, I mean, the thing is, will Capcom announce something for the following fiscal year? You know?
That is my question, because they could do a far-off thing. That would be weird, right?
So far this gen, they've preferred to keep their cards close to the chest, right? And things like 7 months before launch, essentially. But, I don't know. Maybe we could see something. Maybe they want to talk about a next-gen game, right? And maybe Microsoft wants that announcement. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm personally not expecting it.
Yeah. And then the two weirdos. I just want to throw this out there because they're almost just a wishful thinking. Do you think that there is a chance that we see BioShock this year?
Whoa.
I didn't even really think about it.
You didn't even think about it. But here's my thing about BioShock, though, is that 2K, as a publisher, they have their sports games. Obviously, they have NBA. Yeah. But they have Rockstar, obviously being them,
which is huge.
But 2K as a publisher themselves does not have as many games as they used to, and I can't tell that I don't follow it closely enough to know sort of the state of their teams. And so I was...
2K not published Borderlands? Or
They are publishing Borderlands, which I was going to say. I was going to ask, do you think Borderlands even shows up here at all? Do you think Borderlands needs E3 at this point?
Borderlands doesn't need E3, but I think it'll be at E3. I think Microsoft will go after... I think Microsoft will... Phil Spencer's out there talking to Randy, being like, hey, give us the trailer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, because so as far as I know, it doesn't have any, like, sort of marketing with any specific console, right, Borderlands?
No, not that I'm aware of.
No.
So, like, yeah, it could show up at this conference for sure. I don't see why not. But, on the topic of BioShock, there's been rumblings for a while now that 2K made a studio specifically to make BioShock, right? Yeah. Obviously, Ken Levine has straight up said, I am done with BioShock.
Yeah, he's done. He does his own thing separately, but
BioShock was a huge, huge IP, and I think BioShock coming back will be a big deal. Now, without Ken Levine, that's a little weird because, I mean, that is his brainchild, right?
Yes.
But... yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
And then one other one. Do you think that there will be anything from the people that have conferences? So that is EA, Bethesda, Ubisoft, Square Enix. That they will hold on for Microsoft.
Traditionally, yes.
Yeah, they always show like Assassin's Creed or something.
Yeah. Ubisoft, for sure, right? They will have something for... because they like to be at every conference that they can be in.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, they do.
Which is smart,
EA,
I think. But...
the thing with EA, it is worth noting the day before they're doing a 30-minute live stream for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Also some other games that, to be honest, who cares? But, I don't know, like, do they show Star Wars again the next day?
I mean, maybe you do...
be surprised.
Maybe you just do like a run through of a level, and then the thing you get like a story trailer, like a more in depth one at Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean my thing is though is that because 2 months ago or last month I guess we got a story trailer for that game, right? That was the cinematic reveal, and then we're getting 30 minutes of unfiltered gameplay of that game. So like, what do you show at Microsoft conference? I don't know.
I don't know.
So that'll be weird. I mean, but I'm sure they can come up with something. Ubisoft will definitely have something though. Watch Dogs 3, you know, or hell, I wouldn't even be surprised. Ghost Recon shows up at that conference or something. There will be some Ubisoft game at that conference, you know? Yeah. They'll save the big stuff for their own, but there will be something Ubisoft. Bethesda, I mean, we talked about Bethesda already. I just don't know what they have this year, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, like, traditional Bethesda has liked showing up at Microsoft conference as well, right? Like, we saw Fallout 76 at Microsoft's conference first, like, just a little teaser thing, but, you know, it was there. Fallout 4 got a big push at Microsoft's conference. So, like,
yeah,
maybe
they had special things on the Xbox, like mods and stuff.
Yeah. But otherwise, I don't know what Bethesda could show. Square's the big one. So we do know for a fact the reveal of Marvel's The Avengers is happening at Square Enix's conference, right?
Yeah.
So if that game shows up at Microsoft, it's going to be a story trailer, like 100%. It'll be a cinematic reveal, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it's there, but and this is the big one, and definitely the improbable one, but. If Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to the Xbox, I think it's going to be at that conference. I think that they're going to make a big deal out of that.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it is worth noting the most recent trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake did not have the first on PlayStation tag that the other two did.
Oh.
Right. And it's been a long time since the game was supposed to be first on PlayStation, you know?
First on Xbox now.
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, baby.
That would not happen.
No. But I think there's a distinct possibility, especially after Kingdom Hearts 3 doing surprisingly well on the Xbox One and Final Fantasy 15. You know?
Yeah.
Like, sure, it wasn't the majority. It wasn't anywhere near the majority, right? But it did well on the Xbox.
Yeah.
It was worth porting the game to Xbox.
Yeah.
And so you have to wonder, like, surely, I mean, especially with a name like FF7, right? Like, I think that game is not just limited to the PlayStation audience, you know. And they just ported a bunch of Final Fantasies, including 7, onto the Xbox.
Speaking of ports, and call me wild. How about that fucking Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on Xbox? Come on, because you gotta put 3 on there. I mean, come on now.
It's true. It's time. It's too late, but also it's time. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, there's people out there that would still pick it up.
Also, I'll put them on Switch while you're at it, you know.
Well, that is just true. Saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's like a non-zero chance. It's very slim, but like it would be a crazy announcement, you know, to have Cloud show up at that conference.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be big.
Mm-hmm. So there we go. That is sort of the preview for Xbox. Like I said.
Do you mind if I touch on one more?
Go
thing?
for it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Going back to their first party.
Yeah.
All generation long, that has been their main criticism lobbed at them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like their first party, like they just did not have their shit together all generation long, you know. But they since then they've bought a lot of studios. And there's a lot that they could possibly show. And I was just wondering, specifically, there's a rumor on that Windows Central thing. There was a rumor that Rare would show their, which is not one of their acquisitions. They've had Rare for a long time.
Yeah, they've had forever.
So Rare could show a new game, which is.
No, don't say that to me. I can't hope again, Muzumil. You can't do this.
We know for a fact Ninja Theory will be there.
Yes.
Which Ninja Theory, and it's a multiplayer game. And before people say, "Oh, Microsoft bought them out, and now they're doing multiplayer," this game was planned before they bought them out.
Yes.
Just to be clear. But I don't know. Like, is there any specifics you guys have? Like, expectations of like maybe of the specific studios that they bought out, like something specific? Because like now they have like something like 15 studios or some shit. They have a lot of studios. So like we have to see something of that, right?
Yeah, I'm sure we will. I have no expectations.
I mean, the big thing is Fable 4, though. We didn't even talk about that.
Fable 4 by Playground is very expected.
And that's a big deal, right?
That is a big deal.
It's like, Fable coming back is like...
Ninja Theory, I hope, is just its own thing. Let Ninja Theory do their own wild stuff.
Yes.
Rare, the eternal thing is that you look at Rare and you say, hey, do your old things again. But Sea of Thieves is good. Rare Replay shows clearly a love and affection for their library. I think that the Rare that made nuts and bolts, like we've been through 3 different Rares at this point in my mind, you know?
Yeah. I think that nuts and bolts Rare is dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't have that. I wouldn't be worried at this point if they did say.
I mean, at this point, I feel like for their classic IPs, though, it's almost better to partner with outside studios that do have a passion for Rare franchises, you know? Because like.
Partner with Playtonic. What a world.
Oh boy.
Kind of similar. I'm expecting Playful, who Microsoft partnered with to make
Super Lucky's Tale. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I kind of am expecting them to do a Banjo remake, to be honest.
Maybe.
I would trust that.
Whether we see that this year or not, who knows? But I feel like you have to do something with Banjo, right? Like, you just have to. Like,
you have to. Like, you've had the dude for so long. You did nuts and bolts, and you can't let that legacy die on that.
Like, no offense to Conquer, but like the amount of people who care about Conquer is actually pretty small. But Banjo, on the other hand, is legit. Like, a lot of people love Banjo.
A lot of people love Banjo, but I won't let you undersell Conquer like that. We love that boy.
People don't give a shit about Conquer.
Listen, don't.
I just
love that boy.
With you.
I love that boy.
But either way. So I don't know. Where everything else goes from here, I'm not sure. But either way.
I just hope that, I guess my thing is, like, I think this year they kind of have to prove, hey, these acquisitions weren't just for nothing. Like, we are serious as, not just as a console maker, not just as a house for third-party games, but we are serious about first-party studios. You know, we are serious that we're going to make great games that you can only find on it. Well, not only, but, you know, from us, you know, we are making big games that you really want, so... I think that's important to see there.
Yeah. So there we go. So okay. Yeah. So like I said, you know, we are close. We're gonna find out. I'm excited. By the time you hear the next podcast, we will already have seen what Microsoft has, which is pretty wild when you think about it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, you're right. Shit.
Yeah.
God.
I know.
Yeah.
But so E3 is imminent, my dudes. But of course, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because before we get to E3, we have one more important thing to do, and that is add a game to the list.
The list.
which you can follow along in the pastebin below in the description.
You're right, my man. So, last week, Brandon, he brought the heat. It's getting warmer, and he brought the heat with Resident Evil 4 at number 4 on the list.
It's a faithful symmetry.
Iron sharpens the iron. Now is my turn, boys and girls. And I was split. I was not sure what to add, because I don't want to add something that's super high with only 3 of us. I think that's unfair.
Fair.
But
unlike some people, cough, cough, cough.
But fuck? Are you talking to me?
No, Noah. Last time when on his last podcast.
Oh my god!
There was like 3 of you there.
You're still on that. That is irrelevant.
Dark Souls is number 3. To be fair, it's very high.
Yeah,
but this is not an attack on Noah. This is just a thing that I don't want to do. So, but I was like, what do I add? And so I have multiple, and you tell me if you've played them. Okay.
All right.
First on my list, Guitar Hero 3.
No,
I have played Guitar Hero 3. Okay.
Well, let's see if Scribblenauts Unlimited.
I've also played that game.
I have not. I've played the first one.
Oh, yes. Son of a gun. Well, which of those would you prefer us to rank, Brandon?
That's all you had?
Do you want to do freaking Superstar Saga?
We could.
That's gonna...
I know, that's gonna go high. That's the problem. It's like, what are the games that are mediocre, but I remember? WarioWare Mega Micro Games. That game's not mediocre, but we're gonna rank it.
Oh, there you go.
WarioWare Mega Micro Games.
Whoa,
there you go. There you go.
All right.
Good-ass game.
This is...
I don't think anybody will get too upset about that.
Yeah. I think we're going to thread the needle, but what a needle to thread. WarioWare Mega Micro Games is a Game Boy Advance game. It's the first in the long-running, but we miss you, WarioWare series of video games. Before this, Wario was a platformer, right? He was a weird platformer, right? He can't die in Wario Land 3. Wario Land 4 gives kids nightmares. But WarioWare instead says, what if Wario... You've heard of minigames. You've played Mario Party. Minigames are frankly take up too much time. We're doing micro games. These games last 5 seconds long, and we're gonna throw a ton of them at you. All because Wario wants to make a video game, because that's where the money's at, dang it, and he's gonna get all of his friends to crowdsource and for no commission make their own video games for him to use. This game, one, I want to give a shout out to. The tone of this game is insane. It's wacky and it's wild and it's wonderful. And I think, Wario already had an identity before this, but I think this really gave him something to latch on to. And I love Wario. This is known, but I think he's great. And the other thing too is that Nintendo sort of feels like it has 2 modes sometimes, right? You have your mode of like, we're Nintendo, we are the toy makers, we are, stewards of children's childhoods, we're gonna make New Super Mario Brothers, we're gonna take this seriously. And then you get weird Nintendo where they just unleash the beast. And WarioWare was a good chance for them to unleash that beast and just, if they have an idea for, let's make a guy pick his nose in 5 seconds. Pick his nose, son of a gun. Let's put baseball from NES in the whole thing. 9-volt. We love 9-volt. And all of that. It's all in this game. And it's also really good as a portable. It's so well suited to taking on the go and playing in your car.
This was perfect for the Game Boy Advance,
Yeah.
Craziest thing about this was my first introduction was pretty much the remake of this game for the GameCube.
Oh,
to the series. I skipped out on the original at first, and then I played WarioWare Inc. Mega Party Games, which had all the mini games. It was just basically a remake.
Yes,
it was the same game, but it added multiplayer. Essentially.
Yeah. And man, what a wild time!
What a wild time!
So this game is weird. So it's like it's a bunch of 100 little tiny games, right? And the idea is, like you said, they can. It's just literally whatever you can think of, right? It's just like just any small thing, and it's like, here it is. And it gets weird, it gets wild, and it's like as a handheld game, like I said, this is perfect. Like this was wonderful, even today, I would say.
Yeah.
Like
it was designed with really short play sessions in mind. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that
works well for it.
Yeah.
It's a game chock full of charm.
The cast of WarioWare is wonderful. I love some of those characters.
Like to this day, there's beloved, and it's crazy that a game about little tiny micro games ended up making this very imaginative, not just characters but world, right? Like there's a whole world to WarioWare.
Yeah, there's lore and shit with Mona and the side jobs she works and stuff.
Like Diamond City is like a real place, you know?
I love dribbles and spits.
Why these people are friends with Wario, I will never understand.
I do not understand.
I mean, he has a charisma. I fell for him, and so did they.
But legit, I think it's so cool that they built this entire world of these characters in essentially what is just a collection of random little tiny ideas. You know?
Because I'm not here to insult another video game while we're ranking this game on the list. But there was a video game called Frobisher Says, and everyone said this is like WarioWare, you should try it. I had multiple people tell me this. And I played it, and it's a fun game. But you are right in that the characters and the scenarios make all the difference in the world. It really
personality, you know?
Because the scenarios are super they're quick to it's such I could go on and on about how good the game design is just in the terms of you literally are thrown into this game. But just the way it's set up gives you all the information you need to succeed within seconds. Yeah.
For sure, and that's hard to do. You know, that's not an easy thing to do to be able to convey so many different ideas and just immediately, just basically with one word, right? Like pick the nose, like one little phrase.
Just one word, pick.
Yeah,
swing,
and and just with that alone, you almost immediately know what to do. And I think that in of itself is like a testament to I mean. If people laugh at the idea of microgames, but there was thought put into these games. There really was.
This is way harder than it looks.
Yes, for sure.
Like the simple game of it says jump. You see Wario. You hear a car. You hear a bump bump, and you hear the engine. You know it's coming. You know, and you know you're Wario, and you just have to press A to jump.
Yeah.
And it's just it instantly clicks in your head as just as logic and just because of those simple things laid out for you. You know that car is coming, you can hear it, and you know what you have to do, so you just wait, and then in seconds it's over, but you did it. All that information went through your brain, and it's really good. And
also the way it escalates, because there's like the 3 stages to most of the stuff of like ba 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 ba. Like I remember that in my head forever, and like the way the music escalates and
it's
like
faster,
both in and out of the game, and it's really wonderful.
It does a wonderful job of like progression, which is weird. Once again, weird for a game like this, right? Yeah. And I ended up playing this game for dozens of hours. Like seriously, like this game you can play this.
I played it a lot.
Yeah.
So I played the multiplayer a lot on the GameCube version too.
It's true.
Which was really fun.
Where do you want to put on the list?
Now, that's a hard question because obviously we've talked a lot about how much we love this game, but I don't think it should be like in the top 10. Come on.
I mean, there's criticisms to have, right? Like, not every single game's a winner. There's some games when you have hundreds of games, you're gonna have some stinkers in there.
Yeah. But I'm thinking in the lower 20s area. So like
that's pretty high. That's in some
good territory, but I think it deserves it. I think I think it is definitely better than Punch-Out for the Wii. And I think it's better than Mario Bros.
Where the fuck's Punch-Out on this list?
Punch-Out's 35, but I think even going above it, I think it's better than Borderlands. And I think it's better than Psychonauts, to be honest with you.
So I'd put it above Borderlands, but not above Super Mario Brothers.
Okay. Here's the thing, I'll tell you. Because I've been playing Okami recently for our New Year's thing.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, I wouldn't, right now, playing Okami, I don't know if I'd put it above Okami.
Okami's great. Sure. I mean, the things that people don't about Okami come at the end.
I don't know if you'll feel about it that way at the end.
That's true, but right now I'm loving the fuck out of this.
Oh, it's an absolutely wonderful game, but I mean, I don't know. I think that I would definitely.
My sticking point, to be honest, is Super Mario Brothers. I don't know. Super Mario Brothers is
Super Mario Brothers. Here's okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know if I'd put it above Shovel Knight.
Okay. So here's where I'm coming
at. Punch-Out, yes. But okay, go ahead. Sorry.
With Mario Brothers though, and then we can do Shovel Knight.
Okay.
I think the thing that Mario Brothers has now that is so good, besides obviously what it is, which is cannot be discarded entirely, right? It's Mario Brothers. It's huge, but it's super simplistic, and it does a lot of really wonderful game design without writing anything out for you, right? Like you see the Goomba in 1-1, and the way the blocks are laid out, it's very smart in teaching you if you jump, you can get rewarded by hitting this thing by avoiding this Goomba. I think WarioWare. And I think WarioWare distills that down to an art form. Like it is perfect in that. And I think that in that way, the thing that is still the strongest of Super Mario Brothers is the thing that is strongest in WarioWare, and I think that WarioWare does it better.
Yeah, but Super Mario Brothers has a place in history.
I mean, WarioWare has a place in my heart.
Cannot be diminished.
I understand what you mean. I mean, in that sense, that it does. It has. You're right when you say it turns making simplistic like game design into an art. But Super Mario Brothers isn't about a whole bunch of different things. It's about one thing.
Yeah. And it gets you to really understand that one concept, right? Like,
it does, and it tests all your skills. I will say, Super Mario Brothers is not easy, even nowadays, for me at least.
There are some levels that feel like nonsense.
It's a tough game.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the levels aren't designed as well as others, but it's still. I mean, I wouldn't say any part of it is necessarily bad. And
the Hammer Brother Gauntlet level still makes me sad. But besides
the game gets really hard.
Yeah. I don't know. I get that I'm probably fighting a losing battle here, but I do think that WarioWare, like I maybe it's just I rank games that are like singular in what they are highly, and I think that it's so cool that WarioWare is like there have been imitators, right? Like I mean, look where Incredible Crisis is on this list. And look where we're probably going to put WarioWare, and look at the difference in execution, and how that matters.
Incredible Crisis an imitator because it came from.
Well, it came before, but look at the difference in how the exception matters. Okay. Right? That's the difference in the world, and I think that is just a statement to its quality. I mean, I would still like it above at least GoldenEye, but. I understand. You guys are two of the three people in this conversation, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to put it between Super Mario Brothers and GoldenEye.
I'm feeling below Shovel Knight personally, but if you guys aren't on that same thing, it's a losing battle for me. If you guys are both, right there, because I just think I think Shovel Knight's still overall's incredible game.
Shovel Knight is an incredible game, but I would
say, I don't know. I mean, WarioWare Inc. I
think it should be above Punch Out. I will say.
I will 100% say it should be above Punch Out. Yes, that is a no-brainer for me.
And I do think Hardline stands. It's not getting above Mario Brothers. So sorry, you lost that battle.
No, I understand that. But
I feel the same.
But I'm willing to settle either way. For where it goes in between that.
Like I said,
I have no strong feelings above whether it should be above or below Shovel Knight, I guess.
I mean,
the thing is, if it goes above Shovel Knight, I would say put it above GoldenEye.
I mean,
IMO.
But I hate to keep repeating this argument, right? Because I do look like but I think that the difference between Mario Maker and Shovel Knight, Super Mario Brothers and Shovel Knight, is that Shovel Knight is an incredible execution of a template that it clearly is pulling from, right?
Yeah.
And like, there's no shame in that, right? It's okay to do that. But I do think that that's, when I played Shovel Knight, I was like, man, I'm happy that someone's making a game like this. But I've played games that are like this, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that way with WarioWare when I played it the first time.
WarioWare is definitely its own thing.
Yeah. I think I sway towards like games that are more unique in that sense, right? Because I respect a game like Shovel Knight for being one of the best of its class, right?
Well, yeah. There's nothing wrong with taking inspiration and
yeah. But to me though, it sits with games like Mega Man and Ducktales.
Yeah, I don't know if it sits above.
But it's not necessarily head and shoulders above them. You know what I mean? Whereas WarioWare, there's nothing really like it. I don't know. I'm fine with putting it right above GoldenEye. Is where I've decided.
Okay.
All right. I'll settle with that.
There we go. That is the highest we'll add in a while, boys. I'll be honest with you. I'm somewhat infamous for being low on the list, but we did 33, and I'll take it.
Well, what was your pick before that? Was it Sonic Mania?
It was Wii Fit.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then it's like Pokemon Channel, I think.
It was Sonic Mania.
You're right.
That.
Sonic Mania was a while ago. Been there for a bit.
Well,
now.
no, I'm saying Sonic Mania was definitely before Pokemon Channel. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, you're going up and down.
Yeah, we live there. We still haven't cracked that top 10 yet, but one day. So there we go. That is WarioWare Mega Micro Games, number 33 on the list.
Sign.
Make sure the dollar sign is there.
Surrounding it, 31, Okami HD, 32, Super Mario Brothers, 33, as I said, WarioWare Mega Micro Games with the dollar sign, 34, GoldenEye 007, 35, Shovel Knight. Brandon.
Not a Game Club game in sight.
Not a Game Club game in sight. We were so close to getting Psychonauts in that conversation, but
oh man.
That and Rhyteria right beneath it too. But anyways, we, however, are. I think you deserve the final phrase. You've earned it, Brandon. But while you do that, let me do, of course, as I do every week, the quick plugs. That is, of course, that we made it through this podcast, so we would appreciate it if you would both subscribe to us on your podcast service of choice and rate us 5 stars. Of course, if you listen on SoundCloud, follow us there as well. Of course, all those services can be flawed. You sometimes will not get updates when they go live. So where is a place to help make sure you don't miss an episode? Why, twitter.com/Jump Up Supercast, where you will know an update every time that we go live, every Monday for the Jump Up Supercast, every other Thursday for the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. Coming up this Thursday, Chibi Robo, a game that I chose to play on the Game Club. Looking forward to having that conversation, that's for sure. But you can find that when it is out this Thursday. Of course, next week we'll be so smack dab in the E3 of things that it might find hard times to fit in a podcast, but we always appreciate if you would. And if you would follow us on Facebook.com/JumpUpSupercast and Instagram.com/JumpUpSupercast, where you can also find us. That is also finally Twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast, where we will stream intermittently. Muzamil swore to us he would stream last Friday. He didn't, but one day he may.
Tomorrow for sure I will, alright? Tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
No, look, last week something came up on Friday, and then I was going to do Saturday, but then it was you guys' fault for watching wrestling.
Yeah. Oh my god. Blame it on us. You know, you apologize to the fucking people.
I'm sorry, but tomorrow there will be a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, not podcast.
Sure.
The other thing. Yeah, a couple days ago when this goes up, there will have been a stream of Croc the Legend.
You go on twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast and you tell us if that's true. And if not, you do me a favor and leave a comment that says, screw you, Muzzy, you liar.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
There we go. So that is it. That is our podcast for this week. Once again, thank you for listening. And now, Brandon, your final phrase.
I just want to say to everybody out there listening, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And I also want to thank Hyper Potion, who is doing this outro music as I talk right now. And if you haven't heard them, go out and check them out. They're great guys. They make some good stuff, and I think they deserve all the love and support in the world. So yeah, go out there, check out Hyper Potions, play some video games, and just like I say always, be nice.